Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All together, please. Om Jnana Timirandasya Ganandana Salakaya Chakshorun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stavitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Prijana Setam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padang Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karana Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapcha Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishavana Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So reading from Srimad Bhagavad-Gita as it is, translation and commentary Srila Prabhupada. Today's verses are number 40 and 41. I've been requested to do 41 as well. So, we'll go ahead. Please repeat. Adharma bhi bhavat Krishna pradushyanti kulashriya strisu dustasu vashnena jayate varnashankara Adharma bhi bhavat Krishna pradushyanti kulashriya strishu dushtashu vashneha jayate varnashankara. So now we'll do number 41. Please repeat. Shankaro narakha yaiva kula granam kulasya cha patanti pitaro hyesham lupta pindo daka kriya. So we'll go straight to the translations to save time. Translation Srila Prabhupada number 40. When irreligion is prominent in the family, O Krishna, the women of the family become polluted, and from the degradation of womanhood, O descendant of Vrishni, comes unwanted progeny. Please repeat. When irreligion is prominent, in the family, O Krishna, the women of the family become polluted, and from the degradation of womanhood, O descendant of Vrishni, comes unwanted progeny. So, translation 41. An increase of unwanted population certainly, we'll do purport to 40. Purport, number 40. Good population in human society is the basic principle for peace, prosperity, and spiritual progress in life. The Varnashram religion's principles were so designed that the good population would prevail in society for the general spiritual progress of the state and community. Such population depends on the chastity and faithfulness of its womanhood. As children are very prone to be misled, women are similarly very prone to degradation. Therefore, both children and women require protection by elder members of the family. By being engaged in various religious practices, women will not be misled into adultery. According to Chanakya Pandit, women are generally not very intelligent and therefore not trustworthy. So the different family traditions of religious activities should always engage them, and thus their chastity and devotion will give birth to a good population eligible for participating in the Varnashram system. On the failure of such Varnashram dharma, naturally the women become free to act and mix with men, and thus adultery is indulged in at the risk of unwanted population. Irresponsible men also provoke adultery in society, and thus unwanted children flood the human race at the risk of war and pestilence. So text number 41. Please, I'll read it. An increase of unwanted population certainly causes hellish life, both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. The ancestors of such corrupt families fall down because the performances for offering them food and water are entirely stopped. That's a reference to Pinda. Please repeat. An increase of unwanted population certainly causes hellish life, both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. The ancestors of such corrupt families fall down because the performances for offering them food and water are entirely stopped. Purport Srila Prabhupada. According to the rules and regulations of fruitive activities, there is a need to offer periodical food and water to the forefathers of the family. This offering is performed by worship of Vishnu because eating the remnants of food offered to Vishnu can deliver one from all kinds of sinful reactions. Sometimes the forefathers may be suffering from various types of sinful reactions, and some of them cannot even acquire a gross material body and are forced to remain in the subtle bodies as ghosts. Thus, when remnants of prasadam, food, are offered to forefathers by descendants, the forefathers are released from ghostly or other kinds of miserable life. Such help rendered to forefathers is a family tradition, and those who are not in devotional life are required to perform such rituals. One who is engaged in the devotional life is not required to perform such actions. Simply by performing devotional service, one can deliver hundreds and thousands of forefathers from all kinds of misery. It is stated in the Bhagavatam 11.5.41, Devashye bhutatma nrinam pritinam nakinkaro nayam rini cha rajan sarvatmana ya sharanam sharanayam gato mukundam paririthya kartam. Anyone who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda, the giver of liberation, giving up all kinds of obligation, and has taken to the path in all seriousness, owes neither duties nor obligations to the demigods, sages, general living entities, family members, humankind, or forefathers. Such obligations are automatically fulfilled by the performance of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mukum karochi vachalam pangam laite girim yat kripa tamaham vande Shri Gurun dinatarinam. adharma bhibhavat Krishna pradushyanti kulastriyaha shrishu dushtashu varshneha jayate varna shankaraha. Shankaro narakayeva kula granam kulasya cha patanti pitaro hyesham lupta pindo daka kriyaha. Translation number 40 again. When a religion becomes prominent in the family, O Krishna, the women of the family become polluted. And from the degradation of womanhood, O descendant of Vrishni, comes unwanted progeny. An increase of unwanted population certainly causes hellish life, both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. The ancestors of such corrupt families fall down because the performances for offering them food and water are entirely stopped. Yes. So, verse number 40 starts with adharma. Adharma, irreligion. Abhravat, having become predominant. So, the message of the Vedas is dharma, that the human being should perform dharma. And here Arjuna, as he says, is confused about his dharma. If you look at verse number 7, yes, of chapter 2, Karpanya dosa pahatat svabhava prischami tvam dharma samuda chetaha yakshreyasham nishitam bruhitam me shishasteham sadimam tvam prapadnam. Now I am confused about my duty. So if you look in the word for word, duty is dharma. So now I'm confused about my dharma. What is my duty in this situation? And I have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. Krishna just chastised him. You are speaking all learned words, but give up petty weakness of heart. You must perform your dharma. In this condition I am asking you, Krishna, to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So, the Vedas teach what is the dharma, the duty for human beings. And that is the main discussion in the Bhagavad-Gita. And that is the main, or it should be, the main concern for the human being. So dharma here, we're seeing, is duty. So, it's all right, come sit there. So dharma, adharma means to not perform your dharma or activities against your dharma, your duty. So duty, that is natural. For example, what is the duty of a man to his wife? To protect, maintain the wife and children and guide them nicely in material and spiritual life. That is the dharma, the duty. And what is the duty of the wife? The wife is to be faithful, chaste, and to be the assistant, full assistant and best friend of the husband in bringing up the children. But this is not just a demand artificial from the Vedas. This is natural, is it not? We see in animal life, they also have their sense of duty. Like, for example, the lion in the jungle or on the plains of Africa, he will protect his pride and the lionesses and their cubs. He will mark the territory and he will patrol it. He will protect the pride. The birds or the monkeys, they protect, maintain, look after their offspring. That is their dharma. But so Dharma is not some artificially created idea, but it is natural to the situation. Krishna, in the 4th chapter, he explains, Chaturvarna mayashristam guna karma vibhargasha. Guna karma. So varnashram dharma is the duties of material and spiritual life. So Krishna says, I'm the creator of this. So therefore, whether we're pursuing material life or spiritual life, dharma is inbuilt into society. He says, Chaturvarna, there's 4 varna. There's the Brahminical order, the intellectual, the spiritual people. They're called the Brahminical class. The perfection of them is Brahmana Janati Brahman. The Brahmana should be a person who knows transcendence. He should know the Supreme Lord. Then there is the Kshatriya. He is compared to the head of society, the intellect, the speaking ability. Kshatriya is compared to the arms of the social body. Kshatriya means one who protects, delivers from harm. So that is the governmental function. The hands protect the body, they administrate the body. So the government function is necessary, just like it's necessary to have hands. Then the Vaishya function, that is compared to the torso. It takes and gives energy. So the Vaishyas, Krishi Go Raksha Vani Jam, right? Krishi, they look after the land and the product. Go Raksha, they look after the cow and the bull, because the bull will plow the fields and the cows will give you milk. And so that is and they'll fertilize the ground, the cows and the bulls. They'll be happy with the leftover vegetable cuttings, what's left over from the fields. They'll be very happy and give you strength and milk. And so there's very symbiotic relationship between the cow and the human being in a natural environment. That's why cow slaughter is such a great sinful activity. And Krishna is the cowherd boy. He's illustrating the cow. So it's said there, Go Brahmanyaya Hitaya Cha, right? The go is said before Brahmana. So Krishna explains that the status of the cow is can be considered superior to the Brahman. Because without the cow, where is human society? So that is another big topic. We can only just touch on it. So Krishi Go Raksha Varnijam. Varnijam means trading. So that is the Vaishya function. That is like the torso. It takes food and it gives energy. You can think of Vaishya like that. It's looking after the land and cultivating, and the land is giving back so much production. And then the Sudra is compared to the legs. Legs are the largest part of the body, you can say. So that is the worker. They support, they gain employment under the Vaishya, under the Kshatriya, and under the Brahman. So that is social order given by Krishna. Chatur Varna Maya Shristam. That's my production. So it has inbuilt tendency. The Brahmins, guna karma, not janma karma, but according to your previous work, born in a human body, you will have a tendency. Some people are intellectual, interested in philosophy. Their perfection is when they realize Brahman, that is the ultimate objection. Some people are naturally want to manage, they want to be the temple president, they want to go to meetings, they want to arrange things, right? They enter politics, they want to have an influence on the direction of society. And also they're ready to fight to protect society. So that is the Kshatriya function. And then the Vaishya, many people automatically want to do business, or they want to run a farm and produce things, and they want to do trading. And then also the class of person, they want to be, they just want to work. And they want to get some good salary, good maintenance, bring up their family, so on and so forth. So all those classes of people are necessary, just like the legs are necessary, the torso is necessary, the arms are necessary, the head is necessary. You see that we talked about that in Marxism. They want to say there is a class struggle between the workers and the rich capitalists. So that divides society. But actually, if everyone performs their dharma properly, then it will work in harmony. Problem is, Kali Yuga, the Brahmins or the intellectual class because of the educational system, become very atheistic. They don't believe in spirit. They think everything's come from matter. The government function is under the control of the belly. If you want to get elected through democracy, you have to get big money from the corporate moguls. You have to get big donations, and then when you're elected, you have to pay back your favor. And then, of course, the Sudra class is taxed to death. Right? Adjusting the tax. You're taxed at your salary, you're taxed when you buy something, and now they want to tax you for carbon tax. Everything is tax. So there's great distress amongst the worker class, the general population. But that is because people are not, the dharma is not being performed properly. So that is adharma, when people are not doing that. This is a big discussion. You'll find 18th chapter, the duties and functions, and throughout the Vedas, beyond the scope of this class. But the idea is there's dharma. But it is natural. There's some people that just like to have a job and work. They haven't got a mind for business, you can say. And then there's the Vaishya that like to develop the land. There's Kshatriya, he wants to govern like the Pandavas. And there's the Brahmins, they don't want to be managers, they want to study the Shastra, discuss intellectual things, they want to teach, it's their natural feeling. So that is Dharma. But Krishna in this 7th chapter, now I'm confused about my dharma, my duty. So this is work and it is dharma. So in the Vedic prescription you have a tendency to a certain karma because of your material conditioning, guna karma, because your previous activities, if you were intellectual in your past life and you're not sinful, then you'll be born with that same intellectual tendency. If you were a good governor in your past life, you'll be born in the next life with that tendency. So guna, you have qualities, nature, and then you have a sense of, I want to perform this activity, karma. So your karma is your dharma, right? Just like the dharma of a Brahmin is to be pure and to teach the Vedas without interpretation. The dharma or the karma and the dharma of the government people is to protect the people, not exploit them. This was the whole problem, isn't it? Duryodhana was using the kingdom for his own self-aggrandizement. He wasn't serving the people, he was exploiting the people. But also the Kshatriya and Brahmins, they're meant to, as Prabhupada mentioned in the purport, they're mentioned teach dharma to the people so that they become pure and spiritually realized, and then society will become harmonized. And then the Vaishya, he has a tendency to business and land development, so let him do that work. But he should give taxation to the Kshatriya, who should use it for the protection and maintenance of the kingdom. He shouldn't exploit his workers unnecessarily. So that's the Dharma. It's discussed, 18th chapter, the work and the duties. So there's work and there's duties. So there's karma and there's dharma. And then the worker, he should do a good job. And it doesn't really matter if you're a Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya tendency, because Krishna says later by performance of your activities, Arjuna, whatever they are, you can become perfect. So, what does that mean? I perform my activities and I'll become perfect. So, just like I say, in the animal kingdom, they're performing their duties also. The lion is protecting his proud, the birds are protecting their young, the monkeys are protecting their baby monkeys. They have a sense of duty. I have to protect the dogs in the street. Dog is considered low, but very careful to look after their puppies. And they also have a sense of dharma. If you look after a dog, it will look after you. It'll become your chowkidar. So they have a sense of duty also, sense of commitment. But the human being is meant to perform his karma in a dharmic way according to the codes of Shastra. But what is different for the human being is that he can perform his dharma as an offering to the Supreme. This is important. He can understand that I'm not just performing my dharma because it's my duty, but it's my offering, it's my yajna to the Supreme. Therefore Krishna says, right, manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskaru. Always think of me, Arjuna, become my devotee, madhyaji. Perform your activities as an offering. Therefore, if I'm a father or a Kshatriya or a Brahmin, if I'm a father, I look after my family nicely, protect them, maintain them, but I don't do it just for myself, then that's karmi. He's working for his own result. But I perform it as a duty, as an offering. Just like a doctor, he can make his patients healthy, but he can also see, if he's a little elevated, these are the creations of God, these are the children of God, and my duty is to make them healthy and in the service of the Supreme Lord. So I'm performing my dharma and karma as an offering. Now animals can't do that. Generally speaking, the lion doesn't think I'm looking after the pride for the benefit of God or as an offering to God, or the monkeys certainly. They're not looking after their monkeys because they think, oh, this is my duty given by God. But the human being can come to that understanding, if he's well taught by the combination of Brahman and Kshatriya, that yes, you have duties, but perform them in seva bhav, service attitude, as an offering to the Supreme. Then that's what's called Daivi Varnashram, divine Varnashram. Like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta coined that term, Daivi Varnashram. You're following your material duties, your material tendencies, your material work, but you're doing it as an offering. And that is what is taught in the Brahma Samhita by Krishna to Lord Brahma. At the end of the Brahma Samhita, Samhita means collection of prayers. At the end of the Brahma Samhita, Krishna tells Lord Brahma 5 slokas. And it summarizes devotional service. So, Here is the second to the end of those 5 slokas. And I encourage everyone to study Brahma Samhita and these 5 slokas. And you'll find a very similar thing. Dharma manyad parijajya mamekam bhajva vishvasan yadrasi shraddha siddhir bhavati tadrishi kurva nirantaram karma lokoyam anavartate tenaivar karmana jayam mam param bhaktim ichyati. Right? So, do you notice it's very similar at the end? At the beginning, sorry. Dharmam anyad parijajya. Right? What do we know from Bhagavad-Gita 1866? Sarva dharma parijajya. But we'll get to that in a little while. So, this is the translation. Abandon all meritorious performances. That means karmic yagyas, meant to give material fruit, charities and this and that, meant for a material fruit. And serve me with faith. This is what Krishna is telling Brahma. This is right at the beginning of the manifestation of the material universe. Save me with faith. The realization will correspond to the nature of one's faith. So that might sound a little hard to understand. It's explained in the purport. What it means is that according to your faith in the Supreme, you'll get a reciprocation from the Supreme Lord, Krishna, and that reciprocation will take the form of realization of Krishna. So the more you serve Krishna with faith, the more Krishna will reveal himself. It's not blind faith. It's yoga means union with the Supreme. So the yogi, he's not just believing in some prophet or some odd book from a few thousand years back. His faith is based on personal realization of the Supreme. That is yoga, union. So your realization of the Supreme will correspond to the way you're approaching the Supreme. And you should do that under the guidance of Guru. Shishashteham sadimam prapanyam, as we just read. You should take guidance how to approach the Supreme from the realized soul. Jnaninis tattvadarshina. Right. Now this is the point where Krishna is explaining how to perform your activities, your karma, as dharma, as yajna. First you have your qualities, your guna, your material conditioning. Then you have your work. Then you have your dharma. And then you're supposed to perform this as yajna. So here Krishna sums up this idea of yajna. The people of the world act ceaselessly in pursuance of some ideal. Right? The farmer is trying to cultivate crops. The Kshatriya is trying to maintain and protect the kingdom. The Brahman is studying the Shastra. They're all acting for some ideal. The Sudra is performing his job. He wants to maintain his family, so on and so forth. Now then Krishna explains, this is what I've just said, this is the yajna part. The guna comes karma, then comes dharma, and it's performed as yajna. By meditating upon me, by means of those deeds, your karma, your dharma, one will obtain devotion characterized by love in the shape of the supreme service. So, we are performing activities for some goal. So, but how we should meditate on the Supreme. How? By performing those dharmic activities, those duties, to our best ability as an offering. Right? So therefore, if I'm a doctor, I look after my patients to the best of my ability, and that's my offering to the Supreme Lord. Because everything is related to the Supreme Lord. In the 6th verse of Ishopanishad, Yastu sarvani bhutani atmani evanupashyati sarva bhuteshu chatmanam tatona vidyugupshate. Krishna, Lord, well, it's the Vedavyas. He's saying, one who sees everything in relation to the Supreme Lord, who sees all living entities as his part and parcels, and who sees the Supreme Lord within everyone and everyone within the Supreme Lord, never hates anyone or any being. So the fact is, aham sarvasya prabhavo, Krishna is the source of everything, the Supreme Lord. So therefore everything has a relationship to the Supreme Lord, just like the sunlight has a relationship to the sun. So we can see all living entities in relationship to the Supreme Lord. We can see ourselves in relationship to the Supreme Lord. We can see our duty in relationship to the Supreme Lord. And we can act as an offering to the Supreme Lord. It's natural. By meditating upon me, and then that becomes a meditation upon the Supreme Lord. One will obtain devotion, bhakti, characterized by love, prem bhakti, in the shape of the supreme service. Now, so this is very, Krishna knows what he's talking about. After all, he's unlimitedly intelligent. He's the Supreme Lord. So if you perform this meditation of performing your material duties as a yajna, seeing everything in the Supreme Lord, what will happen is you will get devotion, characterized by love, and then in the shape of the supreme service. So what is the supreme service? The supreme service is not just to perform your material duties very expertly or as a yajna. The supreme service is to be situated in your swarup, your spiritual form, in either dasya bhav, sakya bhav, vatsalya bhav, madhurya bhav, conjugal ras, parental function, friendship, service attitude, neutrality. That is the supreme service, because we are materially conditioned in this way to be brahmacharya, vaishya, sudra, but really our soul is not meant just to execute material duties, but it is to perform our duties for the satisfaction of the Supreme. But as a spiritual being, right? Because what do we say? We say, this material body, I'm not this body. So but then the question is, okay, then which body am I? That's the meaning of Swarup. My spiritual form. Every soul is inbuilt with its own natural constitutional form. That is the Swarup. Just like every seed has a tree inbuilt within it. So every soul is meant to use the human form of life to awaken that spiritual form. And that is called Swarup Siddhi, when you develop your spirit. And that is the supreme service. So this is, and also there's that verse in the 4th chapter, what's it? Trigunya Vishya Veda Nistrigunya Bhavajana Nirvanvo Nityasatvasto Niryoga Shema Atvavan. Yes. Because Krishna tells Arjuna, he says, the Vedas mainly deal with the 3 modes of material nature. Why? Because they're manifest within the material world. So they're giving material and spiritual guidance. So in the material world, they're mainly dealing with that. But then Krishna says, rise above the material modes, the nature of the material world, and become established in the self. Nirvanvo nityasatvasto niryoga shema atmavan. In the self, in the supreme self. So this is the relationship between Varnashram and Dharma and Sanatan Dharma, also called Jaiva Dharma. Jaiva Dharma means the nature of the soul, and Sanatan Dharma means the eternal nature. The Varnashram duties can change. One life you may be a Shudra, and then you cultivate a little knowledge, you become Vaishya, you become a Kshatriya. Then you may renounce the Kshatriya function, and you may become in the Brahminical function. But your Swarup stays the same. So in the Bhagavatam, Muktir hitavam yata rupam swarupena avivashnati. What is liberation from the material world? It is to be situated in your Swarup, your spiritual Swarup. So Varnashram is a starting point. You perform your Varnashram, your guna, your karma, your dharma as yajna with sevabhav. You give it, offer it to Krishna. And that sevabhav develops your devotional attitude, Nityasiddha Krishna Prem, your devotional love. Krishna will bless you with the awakening. You will realize Krishna. The more you realize Krishna, the more your love and devotion will awaken. And then when you come to bhava bhakti, ecstatic spiritual emotion, you'll develop realization of Krishna very deeply, and your relationship, your Swarup, your eternal form. And then you can leave the material world and go to the spiritual world. So that is the ultimate goal of Dharma and spiritual endeavor in the material world. It is, yes, we perform our duties very expertly as an offering to the Supreme. That will awaken our realization of Krishna. That realization of Krishna will awaken devotion to Krishna, because it's there, Nityasiddha Krishna Prem Sadhakabanai. It doesn't matter where you are, if you're a Sudra, Vaishya, if you're born in the West, that devotion is inbuilt to the soul, and when that devotion is there, you'll realize your eternal Swarup, and then being absorbed in that, you'll go to where Krishna's Bhoma Leela is performed. You'll get full training and full ecstasy there, and you'll be ready for Golok Vrindavan. So that is the Vedic message in summation. So Arjuna here, he's confused about his duty. In this particular case, the women won't be protected, and that's my dharma. Right? I'm a Kshatriya. I'm meant to protect the praja, the people. But if I don't do that, then the women will be corrupted, then there'll be Vana Shankara. So he's giving all sorts of reasons not to perform his duty as a Kshatriya. Basically what he's saying to Krishna is, in these verses, Krishna fighting and killing my elders, Bhishma and Dronacharya and all these great Kshatriyas, this is going to leave the women unprotected. Then they'll be seduced, they'll become degraded population will be there. So he's saying this is my dharma is bad karma. Right? My duty as a Kshatriya is going to bring me bad karma. So Krishna says, no, Arjuna. You are actually performing adharma now, because you're not going to perform your activity as a Kshatriya. And your duty as a Kshatriya is to protect the world, and Duryodhana, as we know from Shastra, is expansion of Kali, and he is corrupting everyone. And now I have gathered all these corrupt persons, and I'm going to remove them from the face of the earth, so that a more beneficial situation can appear upon the earth. And he says, and that's why the first thing he teaches Arjuna, first he chastises him. This is petty weakness of heart. These people are, Duryodhana is an evil person. He's been trying to kill you and your brothers ever since childhood. And now you're going to let him live? Is that your dharma? He's an evil person. He's cheated his way onto the throne. He's, you're right, the poison cake, the house of luck, we all know from the Mahabharata. He's an evil person. He's misusing the kingdom for his own self. He's putting himself as God, right? Like Ravana. There is no God but me, Hiranyakashipu. I'm the God of the material world. He's not teaching Dharma to the praja, the general population. So he's a bad person. And you are just being petty weakness of, petty weakness of heart. Why? You don't want to kill them, you say. I don't want to kill them, right? But Krishna, what does Krishna say? What's the first part of spiritual knowledge? You're all experienced. You're not the body. You're the soul. And so they're going to die on the battlefield, but that's the body. They're just going to go on to a new situation. So all your objections, Arjuna, are based on foolish ideas, and the basic foolish idea is that you think that they're the body. No, they're taking the side of evil Duryodhana, so they should be chastised. And you are a Kshatriya, and your brother Yudhisthira, he is expansion from Dharmaraj. It is your duty to protect him. Your wife Draupadi was assaulted in the assembly. This is the quality of person you're not ready to fight with. What kind of Kshatriya are you? So that's his beginning salvo. That's Krishna's beginning salvo. And he brings Arjuna first to the understanding you've got to perform your dharma, and you have to perform it without thinking gain or loss, fame or infamy, but you have to perform your dharma because it's your duty. And that's something you have to do. Just like they say in common human society, yours is not to reason why, yours is to do or die. Right? They tell the soldiers like that. And if you die performing your duty, you'll be glorious. But of course we know in the Vedas that if you die doing your duty, you'll go to Svargaloka. If you're not spiritually awake to go to the spiritual world, that if you die on the battlefield performing your duty, you'll be elevated to Svargaloka. This because you performed your duty. Of course, nowadays atheism is rampant in Kali Yuga, so everyone thinks I'm the body. So they think the only duty I have is to live as long as possible and to eat as much food and have as much sex life and to gain as much money as possible. That's my duty, they think nowadays. This is the demoniac idea. So, no, that is not the Vedic path. Because if you do that, if you, as Prabhupada mentions the purport, if you have a dharmic sex life, a dharmic food, a dharmic activity, you'll go to hell. You'll get the bad reaction. So the dharma must be performed, Arjuna, Krishna is saying. And especially in this condition, you are going to re-establish Yudhisthira, the great king, great pious king Yudhisthira on the throne. And that, he explains, is my desire. Because then Krishna explains later in the Gita, right? Paritranaya sadhanam vanashaya tuduskritam dharma samstapanathaya. I come for 3 reasons. To protect the devotees like Yudhisthira and Bhima, your brothers, and Queen Kunti and Draupadi. I come, and the pious people. I come to destroy the demons, get them, and dharma samstapanathaya. I come to re-establish dharma. So Arjuna, this is my arrangement, my plan. And now you're not willing to act accordingly. You're not willing to perform your dharma, your karma, as a yajna. You're running away from the battlefield. So that's ignominious. That's disgraceful. Huh? And people will always talk about you as a coward that left the battlefield instead of doing his duty. Right? And it doesn't really matter if you don't fight Arjuna, because I'm going to, it's my decision that these evil people should be removed. So, Krishna gives all sorts of counter-arguments. But if we understand this basic idea of dharma, and then dharma, material duties should be performed as an offering for the Supreme, and then that will develop our spiritual transcendental relationship with the Supreme Lord, and that will be characterized by prem, transcendental love, and then that will give us eternal life in the spiritual world, in Vaikuntha. If we understand this basic ideas, then we'll understand Bhagavad-Gita very easily. So, we'll finish on that point. Any questions? Yes?
Such a nice guy, thank you so much, Prabhu. Just a couple of questions. Number one, you talk about dharma, karma, and also the offering.
Yeah. Mood of offering, yeah.
My question was around the dharma, the material duties, and the karma. Are they all relation to the body? So they are not soul level or the body level?
Yeah.
That's the first question.
Mm-hmm.
The second question is around a professional person who is performing his duty. For example, where I come from, the lawyers have got a duty to defend a criminal. Whether the crime is not proved yet in the court, but you have to defend it. And you know, as a lawyer, as a prosecutor,
that he's guilty.
He is guilty, but you have to.
Well, you have to perform your duty because you're working within that situation.
That's a legal system.
Yes, that's the legal situation. So, and it is the duty of the prosecutor to prove you wrong.
That's right.
Right? So you are not the judge in that case. You're not the judge and jury. So your duty as a lawyer is to give the best arguments to the judge and jury. But I would say this, that also, you must have realized this yourself, you have to give good advice to your client. Right? And you can say, well, look, I'm going to defend you to the best of my ability, but things are not looking good. You'd better do a plea bargain. In America, they're really into plea bargains. And I'll make a deal with the judge and the prosecutor, and instead of getting 20 years, you'll get 10 years. Right? Or you get 5, or you'll get... So your duty in that case, if I may say, and I'm sure there's great philosophers of lawyers who've discussed these points, is to do the best for the client. But that doesn't necessarily reading him down the primrose path. Right? You know what I mean, the primrose path. You have to tell him, hey, the situation's not looking good. Don't tell me if you're guilty or not guilty, but, because that's attorney-client privilege. Even if he does tell you, you're obliged not to. But you should advise, I think the best thing is that you come clean and throw yourself on the mercy of the court, and I'll try and negotiate that, because you don't have a very good case, right? So your duties can take a whole array. Because your duty really is to give the best advice to your client, all right? And if you advise him, well, we'll go ahead with the case, but you haven't got a hope in hell of becoming not guilty, but I'm going to do it anyway. But you see, and you don't tell him that, then that could be a failing of duty, wouldn't it? You have to advise him, look, in the situation. But ultimately, you have to act according to his direction, right? Right? I know I'm going to plead not guilty. I'm going to get away with it. Okay. I've done my duty. I've given you the best advice. So now you've got to take the result. So the first question again?
The first question was around, is the Varna ashram that you mentioned about the duty and the actions and the offering, are they related to the bodily level? So they are not at the soul. The question is much more, the second level to that is it spiritual or is it non-spiritual?
Well, that's it. That's the art of human life. We are born in this material body and mind, but the art of human life is to spiritualize the situation, right? So I've got this material mind and body, you've got your material mind and body, because of the effects of desire, karma and karma, deeds and desire. According to deed, we get a certain situation, and according to desire. They're basically the how you get the material body and mind, according to your desire and what you've performed in your past. So, that is material, yes, but we are spirit souls. So this is why Prabhupada and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, his Guru Maharaj, use the term dovetail. That you have material propensities, but you perform them as an offering, like I was saying in the class, as yajna. You perform your duties, and then they become spiritualized. Because that is the art of human life. Like I say, the lions and the tiger, they also have a sense of duty. The monkey, the dogs, the pigs, the animals, they have a duty. The bees, right? When the hornets attack the nest, the bees will fight back the hornets, right? They're protecting. So that, but they cannot spiritualize that situation, generally speaking. But the human being, he's a special species, if you like, because he can spiritualize his life. And that is the special, because the animals eat, we eat. The animals mate, we mate. The animals sleep, we sleep. The animals defend their arrangement, we defend it. But we can have a fifth activity, and that is spiritual inquiry. So therefore the Vedanta Sutra, Atato Brahma Jignas, you know it starts, it says Atato means now you are, now, Brahma Jignas. Now means what? It means now you're in the human body, but also, it also means now you're in civilized human life. And also it means now, it means a third, more esoteric understanding is that now, at this every moment, inquire into the Supreme. That's the meaning of manmana. At every moment, you should be realizing the relationship of this material world to the Supreme. Atato Brahma Jignas. Because also Acharyas, I've read Vedanta Sutra, different commentaries, and they have big discussion on Atato. And it's now. Now means now you're human. But then they discuss you're a human being when you're acting as yajna. You understand? You see, the animal is performing his duties, and if we just perform our duties in a material sense, then where's the difference? Right? But we as human beings can come to the understanding there must be a source, there must be a creator. Janmadiyashyata. There must be a source. So therefore, what is that source? Jignyas. And we find that throughout human society, there's some idea of a supreme. Even for children, it's natural to the children to believe in God, if you like. You know, children aren't naturally atheists. If you talk to a child and you say, God is the creator of this world. And God is the source, and he's a person like you and me, but he's a supreme, powerful person, and he lives in the spiritual world, and we can go there. Then a 5-year-old child can easily understand that, right? Generally, a 5-year-old child doesn't say, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God. Or he's not an impersonalist. I believe that the source is just a bright light without variety. But a child can easily understand, oh yeah, there's a supreme person of supreme power who's created everything. And they've created my mummy and daddy, and they've created this world, and they've created me. Child can easily understand, right? So this is the special benefit of human life, and special duty, you can say, of human life, to cultivate that. And so yes, we start from the platform of our material duties, but we want to progress to our spiritual duties, you see. So we can't all jump into becoming sannyasis and avadutas, sitting by Radhakund 64, and that's not advised at all. That is called sahajiya, trying to act at a platform that you're not qualified for. So in the Vedas, Varnashram is there, so to bring you step by step. But in Kali Yuga, because Kalo dosha nidei rajan asti eka mahadgunan Ketanad eva Krishnasya mukta sangha param brajat. That Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults. People are manda, sumanda, mateo, manda, bhagya, upadruta. People are not very intelligent, they're not very fortunate, they're slow in understanding. And it's an ocean of faults. Atheism is widely taught, adharma, abortion, neglect your duties, just do what feels good, This is advertising. People are watching television and they advertise, just enjoy, buy this to enjoy, right? And there's drugs everywhere in society, in an exaggerated way, What's the latest thing now? Opioids, right? People are killing themselves in opioids in America. So people are it's an ocean of fault. And the Kshatriyas nowadays, like I say, they're under the control of money power, the financial elite. The people, the general mass are taxed to the max. So Varnashram, it gives a good framework, but it's very hard. You can't re-establish that without spirituality. So therefore, in Kali Yuga, by chanting, reading Bhagavad-Gita and chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, and all the bhajans and all the other mantras, this will wake up spirituality very quickly. In just one lifetime, you can realize the Supreme, right? So therefore, Prabhupada wanted to re-establish Varnashram, the principles of that, but the stress always has to be in why is Varnashram there? It's to re-establish ultimately your Swarup, to awaken your spiritual form, which is lying dormant within the soul, and to realize Krishna in full, directly and personally, and go to the spiritual world for eternal life. So that is stressed, and that can be taken to immediately. Like if somebody is in the government, they should chant Hare Krishna in the morning. If somebody's a worker, let them chant Hare Krishna in the morning. If somebody's a Vaishya, they should chant Hare Krishna. The Brahmins especially, they should chant Hare Krishna and perform austerities, live in a pure way. Right? So that should be the central core, and it always is the central core. I just quoted that sloka from Lord Krishna to Lord Brahma. He's going to engineer the universe. So Krishna says, meditate upon, you're going to engineer the universe, Lord Brahma. Meditate upon me through those deeds. See everything in relationship to me. And then you'll get love of Godhead, and you'll get your Swarup, you see. So everything has to be seen in relationship. And a good way understanding this is the conversations between Ramananda Roy and Lord Chaitanya. Have you read in Chaitanya Charitamrita? It's very important, very important. Ramananda Roy, he is Arjuna in Chaitanya Leela. He's also Lalita Shaki. And they meet and they discuss, and Lord Chaitanya asks him, what's the goal of life and how is it achieved? And then Lord Chaitanya answers, Varnashram. If you perform Varnashram, you'll achieve the goal of life. And Lord Chaitanya says, oh, that is external, right? Because it's dealing with the material body. And then Ramananda says, well, yad karosi yad anasi yogstadosi dadasi, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you perform, whatever austerities, do it as an offering to me. So then Lord Chaitanya says, now that's better. Now you're coming along. So in that way, step by step, this gradation is discussed. Lord Chaitanya and Ramananda Roy. And if one studies that, then one will see. And then right at the end, it goes through a whole number of slokas in the Vedas and the Gita. Like, for example, at one point, Ramananda Roy says, Brahmano Pratish, he talks about the Brahman. But he says, oh, Lord Chaitanya says, well, that's a little impersonalistic. Who is this Brahman? So in this way, there's a progression. And if you study that conversation, you'll get so much understanding, because it's the whole thread of the Vedas. But the end goal must be there. That must be understood, you see. So that is what the Yuga avatar does. Now we're in Kali Yuga. Lord Chaitanya is Kali Yuga avatar, Chana avatar. And so he's teaching the goal, which is love of God. And that is taught in Dwarpa Yuga. And that is taught in Treta Yuga. And that is taught in Satya Yuga. Satya Yuga, the method was meditation. Because people would live very long lives and they would meditate for a long time and they would develop their relationship with the Supreme. Then in Treta Yuga, the previous Treta Yuga, to this one, to this Kali Yuga, that is yajna. They used to perform big yajnas, take all the produce, offer it to the Supreme, very sattvic. And then in Dwarpa Yuga, it was deity worship. And all over the world you see that. There's remnants of big temples, right? Maybe and they say, oh, this pyramid was 10,000 years old or something like that. So But in Kali Yuga, the stress is on chanting Hare Krishna and studying Bhagavad-Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Paranaka Dunodita. It's specially constructed for Kali Yuga. The Mahabharata is specially given for Kali Yuga. Bhagavad-Gita is from Mahabharata. It is the Vedanta Sutra of the Mahabharata. So, that is the goal of all the Vedas in every age. But Kali Yuga is considered the best of ages. There's many discussions like this, because it's very easy. In such a yuga, people used to meditate for thousands of years. You read about it in the Vedas, the rishis meditating for 60,000 years, performing austerities. But in Kali Yuga, you chant Hare Krishna. In one lifetime, you can develop love of God and go back to Godhead. So it's considered the best of ages, because the goal of human life can be easily achieved. So it's a balance, you see. It's a balance. Kali Yuga is an age of crazy philosophies like Darwinism and Marxism and globalism and feminism and all these concocted ideas. And they're all crazy when you examine them objectively, you know. I read something the other day, just a couple of days ago on the internet, and it was some Darwinian idea, and in the article it was saying that the scientists have theorized that dogs have developed 2 extra muscles around their eyes because of association with humans. The idea is, you know, a dog, they can look at you like, give me a biscuit, I want a chapati. So the dog, the scientist is proposing, has developed special muscles in the eyelids or around the eyes so that he can look like a human asking for food. He can have a human type expression. You know, if somebody asks you something, you can tell from their expression. So the scientist is saying that the dog has developed special muscles that aren't there in the wolf. Or in the baboon, I guess. Well, maybe the baboon, yeah. Or in the polar bear. Because they're not going to ask you for food, they're going to eat you, the polar bear. So, the polar bear actually, normally bears don't hunt humans, they'll avoid you. But the polar bear is one of the very few animals that will hunt humans. Yeah, there isn't much food up there in the North Pole. So they will actively hunt humans, track them down and try to eat them. The Eskimos know this. So, but anyway, so all these crazy ideas that dogs are developing muscles in their eyes so they can ask for food from humans. So, these are all theories proposed, of course, but they're all based around this idea that there was a big bang and then everything happened accidentally. Gorillas turned into Miss Universe. Right? It's accidental evolution. See a beautiful woman. Oh, she's so beautiful. She's accidentally evolved from a gorilla. And that's survival of the fittest. The gorilla is as strong as an elephant, right? And the woman is like weak. She can hardly lift 20 kilos. And this is survival of the fittest. The gorilla, you know that all the animals have fur, right? Because it protects from the cold, it protects from blows, it protects from the heat, the burning rays of... So where is the evolutionary advantage of having no fur? Is that survival of the fittest? According to evolutionary theory, the Eskimos should be becoming more and more hairy to deal with the polar bears and the cold up there. But it's not happening. The Eskimos have practically no bodily hair, long, So all these odd ideas, but it's all atheism. You see. It's all a way of denying that there's a supreme person. So this is Kali Yuga. So in Kali Yuga, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad-Gita, and chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And so that makes it the best of ages. Something to be thought of. So we'll finish on that point. Thank you all very much for coming to class.